The bully rushed toward the girl and slapped her across the face. Using her skills, she quickly took him down, leaving everyone around stunned. The story unfolds at Prescott's school, a top-secret facility run by the government, where orphaned girls are raised and trained to become perfect killing machines. From a young age, they are taught to suppress love and emotions, focused entirely on obeying orders. Principal Hardman constantly reminds them of a critical survival principle. Attachment is the deadliest weakness of a spy. However, this rule doesn't apply to the school's top student. 83.83. 83 has always yearned for a family, but at Prescott, that desire remains nothing more than a distant dream. Isolated and rejected, her remarkable talents only make her a target for envy, particularly from her fiercest rival 84. However, her exceptional abilities earn her the honor of being the first in her class to be activated for a mission. Her first assignment is to retrieve a briefcase from a man. With the precision and skill sharpened through years of intense training, she completes the task effortlessly in mere minutes, reinforcing her reputation as an untouchable force. Being assigned a mission gives 83 a rare glimpse into the outside world, where the simplicity of everyday life sparks a deep sense of envy within her. She begins to fantasize about a life free from the burdens of secret assignments, a life where girls her age can live without the weight of constant danger. During her next mission, she takes a quiet moment to observe the carefree lives of ordinary children. But, instead of finding solace, this fleeting glimpse only deepens her sense of longing and isolation. With each movie and each story, 83 becomes further immersed in the world of teenagers she desperately craves, using it as an escape from the harsh reality of Prescott. Upon her return, she's given a high-stakes mission to capture Victoria Knox, a notorious American arms dealer infamous for targeting Prescott agents. Once again, this decision leaves 84 feeling bitter and envious. Before the mission briefing, 83 is caught secretly reading a teen magazine. Headmaster Hardman reprimands her briefly, but ultimately places his trust in her to carry out the mission. Facing Knox, a sharp and formidable opponent, the mission becomes more than just a test of skill. It challenges 83A's loyalty and resilience. To catch her off guard, 83 feigns capture, only to swiftly dismantle Knox's henchmen with calculated precision. In a split second, she attaches a balloon to Knox, securing her adversary before she can react. Just then, an airplane swoops overhead, hooking the balloon's string and pulling both women into the sky. But Knox, ever resourceful, reveals a hidden gun and fires. The bullet strikes 83, sending her off balance and plummeting into the rushing river below. Knox is brought aboard the ship, where she meets Hardman. Their conversation flows with an unsettling familiarity, as though they share an unspoken connection. Below, 83 miraculously survives the fall, unharmed. Without a second thought, she discards the radio, fully aware that this act marks her as officially inactive. In that moment, 83 casts off the chains of her past, freeing herself from the prison that had held her captive for so long. With newfound determination, she steps into a future where she can finally chase the life and dreams of a normal young woman. In an effort to erase her past, 83 adopts the identity of an orphan named Megan Walsh and joins a student exchange program. She selects the Larson family, a lively and welcoming household, as her new home. Upon her arrival in Newton, America, she is greeted with warmth by the Larsons. Despite her hesitation, Megan embraces Mrs. Larson, who welcomes her with open arms, accompanied by the friendly son Parker. However, Mrs. Larson's daughter, Liz, remains distant and aloof, not quite sharing the same enthusiasm about the newcomer's arrival into their home. Megan accidentally hugs a man she assumes is Mr. Larson, only to be surprised when she learns that Mrs. Larson is divorced. At home, she is deeply touched by Mrs. Larson's warmth, feeling a strong sense of gratitude. During dinner, Megan quickly forms a bond with Parker, who passionately dreams of becoming a ninja. In contrast, Liz remains distant, appearing hard to connect with. After dinner, Megan retreats to her room to begin planning her next steps. She creates a cover map using magazine images for inspiration, but in the process, she ends up overdressing for her first day at high school. Megan quickly finds herself the center of attention, but not in the way she had hoped. She is bullied by her classmates. Saying this, Liz, though reluctant, offers Megan a backup outfit from her quirky wardrobe and lets her borrow it. This unexpected act of kindness leaves Megan feeling a mix of sadness and confusion. After changing, she nervously waits for her turn to be introduced to the crowd. Just then, Roger steps in, introduces himself, and offers a calming reassurance that helps ease her nerves. Roger works in the stage lighting department, but Megan unknowingly misquotes an article, implying that the job is only for quirky individuals who aren't good enough to be in the band. Despite this, Roger is still drawn to her and becomes the first person to show her genuine kindness. He gently advises her to be cautious, warning that the bullies at school could make her life difficult if she isn't careful. At last, Megan's moment arrived, but it didn't go as she had imagined. Gooch, the school's bully, swiftly humiliated her in front of the class and the crowd. Just when things seemed unbearable, Cash, the school's golden boy, appeared and saved the day. With his soothing voice and captivating presence, he sang a song just for Megan, effortlessly drawing her in. His charm wasn't lost on her alone. Every girl in the room was entranced. Cash gently reassured Megan, offering her a place in his band Motakan, and opening the door to an exciting new chapter in her life. Cash kept performing, his voice captivating the crowd with an infectious energy that had everyone cheering. When lunchtime came, the school cheerleaders approached Megan, inviting her to join their table. However, Megan politely declined. Drawing on her knowledge from Mean Girls, she suspected that cheerleaders were often manipulative and quick to humiliate anyone who let their guard down. With that thought in mind, she left the cafeteria and headed to her first class, her nerves tingling with a mix of anxiety and curiosity. Megan took a seat next to Roger, a new friend she quickly felt at ease with. They hit it off right away, bonding over their shared love of clever wordplay. When the bell rang, signaling the end of class, the teacher informed the students that they would be paired with partners the next day. Megan couldn't help but glance at Cash, her interest in him barely concealed. As Cash left the room, Gooch suddenly appeared and slapped Megan across the face. But instead of backing down, Megan stood her ground, her response swift and precise. With a few well-placed moves, she brought Gooch down, leaving the entire class in stunned silence. That night, Megan quietly snuck into the lab to alter the seating chart, skillfully ensuring she'd be seated next to Cash. With her ninja expertise, she completed the task swiftly and left without a trace. The next morning, Megan walked into class, confidently taking her seat beside Cash, feeling like everything was falling into place. However, her plans quickly unraveled as an argument broke out, and she found herself in a tense showdown with several girls, all competing for Cash's attention. However, the teacher chose Cash as the lab assistant, a decision that felt undeniably biased given his popularity. After class, the two girls who had caused trouble earlier approached Megan with news of an opening for the school's mascot role. Hagen, relying on her research, initially saw the mascot position as something typically reserved for outcasts. Yet the girls expertly spun the offer, convincing her that this would be a chance to get closer to Cash, creating a special moment behind the scenes that could lead to something more. Megan wasted no time grabbing the mascot costume and preparing for the dance. Once she had perfected the moves, she headed to the audition, confident that she would be the sole performer. With grace and agility, she executed impressive flips, finishing the routine with an exhilarating, energetic yell. Her undeniable talent and confidence caught everyone's attention, and it wasn't long before she was selected for the role. After a training session at home, Megan started to feel uneasy as she noticed a suspicious truck trailing her. The truck didn't just follow, it pursued her all the way to school, heightening her sense of unease. When competition day finally arrived, Megan confidently donned her Viking costume and performed with energy, ready to cheer on the event. However, her excitement quickly turned to fear when a group of masked men emerged from the truck and attempted to abduct her. Despite being outnumbered, Megan effortlessly defeated each of the kidnappers, drawing on the hand-to-hand combat skills she had perfected at Prescott. In a swift move, she even threw an axe, hitting one of the men as he tried to flee. It was soon revealed that they were students from a rival high school, and the abduction was part of their provocative tradition. Realizing she had been deceived by the girls, Megan felt a wave of embarrassment. She quickly left the scene, her disappointment evident as she tried to hide it from those around her. Roger hurried after Megan, attempting to offer comfort, but his efforts were in vain. Back home, Megan was overwhelmed with disappointment, realizing she couldn't blend in as a normal girl. The high school environment felt even more brutal than the intense training she had endured. Hearing Megan's sighs, Mrs. Larson approached with genuine warmth and maternal care. She spoke softly, assuring Megan that the struggles of high school were part of the journey. With a reassuring smile, she told Megan to remain true to herself, reminding her that she didn't need to change to fit anyone's expectations. When Megan returned to school, the atmosphere had completely shifted. Gone were the looks of contempt, replaced by admiration, applause, and cheers. The fight she had fought earlier had gone viral, becoming the buzz of the night. Even her former bullies couldn't help but join in the applause when they saw her. Then, out of nowhere, Cash approached Megan, his eyes alight with enthusiasm, and invited her to join a promising jam session, further sealing her newfound place among her peers. Megan arrived early, but before she could settle in, Roger unexpectedly ambushed her from behind. Instinctively, she reacted by taking him down, leaving him gasping for air for a moment. As they spoke, Roger couldn't help but notice something unusual when Megan casually explained a few martial arts moves. Yet, he simply smiled warmly, continuing to listen with genuine interest. Their conversation remained light and easygoing, until Cash and his band arrived, injecting a burst of energy into the atmosphere and turning everything lively. Cash swiftly pulled Megan away from Roger, eager to ask her opinion on his new song. As they chatted, Megan couldn't help but notice that, despite their connection, she and Cash weren't entirely compatible. Still, the attraction was undeniable. Observing the dreamy look in her eyes, Cash invited Megan to Gucci's party that weekend, and she happily agreed. On her way home, however, Megan suddenly noticed a car trailing her, and it wasn't long before she was spotted by the Prescott family. Megan woke up to find herself bound to a chair, facing Hardman after so long. He accused her of working for another organization and attempting to gather intelligence. Determined to make her confess, Hardman injected her with a special serum. The liquid blurred her senses, unleashing a flood of emotions she couldn't control. Tears welled in her eyes as her vulnerability overcame her, and she finally confessed in a shaky voice, she didn't want to be an assassin. She just wanted to live like a normal girl. At last, Hardman agreed to let Megan go, but on one condition: she would have to leave Newton and return to Prescott when she turned 83. Left in a dazed state from the serum's effects, Megan confronted Liz, who had been the source of the tough, solitary persona Megan had tried to maintain. With a sense of clarity, she urged Liz to drop the facade and start forming real connections with others, instead of constantly masking her true emotions by concealing them from Megan's displeasure. Hofton's apprentice exile. Megan spoke her mind without seeking validation, before finally succumbing to the effects of the serum and passing out. The next day, during lunch with Roger, they shared a heartfelt conversation about their dreams and ambitions. Megan expressed her frustration, feeling as though she hadn't achieved anything truly significant. Roger, however, reassured her, telling her that, to him, she was always impressive, no matter what. Despite Roger's comforting words, Megan made the decision to let him join Cash at the table. Before leaving, she invited Roger to Gucci's party the following Friday. Upon returning home, she walked in on a heated argument between Liz and Mrs. Larson over whether Megan should be allowed to attend the party, especially after her drunken state the previous night. Mrs. Larson, however, stood firm in her belief that Megan should go and proposed that Liz accompany her to ensure her safety. Eventually, they arrived at Gucci's house, where the party was in full swing: loud music, flowing drinks, and the kind of atmosphere Megan had expected. However, 84, known as Heather, was also there, intent on keeping an eye on Megan and spoiling her fun. With her charisma and charm, Heather quickly captivated the crowd, drawing attention wherever she went. Meanwhile, Liz made her way to the bathroom, only to find Gooch stumbling around, clearly intoxicated. Gooch, recognizing Liz, offered her a tequila shot. Taking Megan's advice to heart, Liz decided to drop her guard and engage with him, quickly fitting into the lively energy of the party. Meanwhile, upstairs, Megan and Heather surveyed the crowd, both setting their sights on Cash. They approached him without hesitation, but it was Megan who caught his interest, leaving Heather to watch from the sidelines. Back in the bathroom, Liz and Gooch discovered a surprising number of shared interests, and their bond began to grow, deepening as they connected over their conversation. Roger arrived at the party and spotted the lively scene, where he found Liz and Gooch fully immersed in the fun. He asked about Megan and went downstairs to search for her. Unfortunately, when he found Megan kissing Cash, his heart shattered and he left in tears. The next morning, Liz, still drunk from the night before, was passed out on the couch. Cash invited Megan out for waffles, but he couldn't shake the guilt of leaving Liz alone. Meanwhile, after the party, Liz returned home with a new tattoo on her face. Mrs. Larson was furious upon discovering that Megan had abandoned Liz for the entire morning. Despite the tension, Megan and Liz's bond began to grow stronger. On their way to school, Megan was unexpectedly stopped by Hardman. Hardman insisted that Megan promise to return to Prescott, expressing concern for her safety after learning that Knox had escaped from the facility. However, Megan was resolute. She no longer wanted to go back, especially since things were finally looking up at high school. With determination, she firmly refused. After a tense pause, Hardman relented, but warned her that she would be on her own when Knox inevitably came after her. Missing the bus to school, Megan chose to drive with Liz in her car, embracing the freedom of the moment. Over time, their bond grew as close as that of siblings, with no barriers left between them. But then, a strange car pulled up alongside them, firing shots at their vehicle. In a flash, Megan took control of the wheel, all while opening up to Liz. She shared the painful details of her past, how she was raised, and the reason someone was determined to harm her. Megan narrowly avoided a collision with a truck, swerving into an auto junkyard to escape, yet the pursuer relentlessly followed, forcing them into a dead end. A tense shootout broke out, culminating in a crash. Miraculously, Megan and Liz survived. As Megan inspected the pursuer's car, she was struck by the familiar scent of heather lingering inside. At the hospital, Megan recounted the events to Hardman, but when he heard Heather's name, his expression shifted to shock. He hadn't sent Heather after them. He believed she had died when Knox escaped. As Megan pieced together the clues, she realized that Heather had been working for Knox all along. She demanded that Hardman return her belongings, but he refused, claiming that she was no longer part of Prescott. When Liz woke up, Megan apologized for hiding the truth and putting her in danger. Determined to protect the Larson family from any threats, she decided to leave. However, Liz pleaded with her not to go. Just as Megan was on the verge of changing her mind, she spotted a picture of Parker, where she was included as part of the Larson family. Touched by the gesture, she hugged Parker before returning to Liz, only to find Gooch standing beside her. After their class ended, Liz stepped outside and agreed to join Megan in the fight against Knox. The next morning, Megan laid out their plan for Liz, and the two eagerly prepared for the return ceremony. They shared light-hearted moments throughout the day, their excitement growing as night approached. The following evening, the guys picked them up to head to the ceremony. Upon arrival, it was clear that Liz and Gooch were already enjoying each other's company. Meanwhile, Megan and Cash felt a bit awkward, unsure of how to start their conversation. In an attempt to ease the tension, Megan cracked a pun, but Cash didn't quite catch her joke. Megan realized that Roger was the only person who truly understood her, so she made the difficult decision to break up with Cash just before his concert. She approached Roger, apologized, and told him that he was the one she truly wanted to be with. Unfortunately, Heather quickly swooped in, starting a relationship with Roger. Unable to contain her frustration, Megan confronted Heather, and their argument quickly spiraled into a fierce fight. Heather relentlessly attacked her, and the altercation escalated into chaos, disrupting the party. Seizing the opportunity, Heather grabbed a metal rod and swung it with precision, intensifying the confrontation. Despite Heather's relentless pursuit, she couldn't catch Megan, who fought back with fierce determination. Using a fire hose, Megan struck Heather in the stomach and pinned her down. In a desperate move, Heather threw dust at Megan, forcing her to flee. As she continued searching for Megan, Heather revealed that Knox was targeting the Larson family. Just as Heather prepared to stab Megan, Liz rushed in, knocking her leg out from under her with a corn dog. Seizing the moment, Megan quickly subdued Heather once again, turning the tide in her favor. Liz felt a surge of pride and excitement for her actions. The two of them rushed home, taking down a guard along the way. Megan entered the house, gun raised, aiming at Knox. During their tense confrontation, Knox unexpectedly revealed that Megan was the first Prescott #1. Before Megan could process this shocking revelation, another guard appeared and took Liz hostage. Feeling cornered, Megan reluctantly dropped her gun and surrendered, but with her sharp mind and unyielding determination, Megan quickly challenged Knox to a fair fight. Without hesitation, they clashed in combat. Just as Megan was about to overpower Knox, he suddenly pulled out a hidden gun. Fortunately, Parker threw a stun grenade, creating the opening the Prescott group needed to storm the house. With swift precision, they overpowered Knox's guards one by one, and finally, Hardman captured Knox. Megan, overwhelmed with relief, rushed to hug Hardman for coming to her rescue. In that moment, Hardman confessed that he had developed feelings for her. his cherished student. He offered her a chance to return to Prescott as an undercover agent, though she could still live with the Larson family. Megan returned to the party, where she noticed Cash and the teacher getting along, but unfortunately she couldn't find Roger anywhere. Roger was on his way home, picked up by his dad, when suddenly Megan landed in a helicopter. With a confident smile, she declared her feelings for him and invited him on another date. Roger, grinning ear to ear, happily accepted, and together with Liz and Gooch, the two couples soared into the sky, celebrating the newfound joy in their lives. Megan had finally found the deep connection she had always sought, making her life feel more meaningful and fulfilled than ever. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like, and if you didn't, feel free to press dislike twice just to be sure. Watch the whole movie, and thank you so much for following along. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more exciting content like this.